In this food series videos, let us see another top 10, which is our top 10 cheeses you should try. Number 10, Pecorino, Italy. This cheese was first made roughly 2000 years ago in the countryside surrounding Rome. Most of it was made in the region of Litium in Italy. In 1884, the city council began to prohibit the salting of cheese inside shops. So most of the makers moved to Sardinia. It's made exclusively from Sardinian sheep. To make it, the cheese is curdled, salted, and then pressed into molds to which it sets. The pressing removes most of the moisture, making it very hard. Next thing is number 9, uh, in the list of cheeses, Camembert, which is in France. Camembert and Brie are like brothers, with Brie being the older one. Both cheeses are made from unpasteurized cow's milk, which is then curdled and placed very carefully into molds. The cheese is then left to set and turned over without pressing. It's this unique process which gives the cheese a soft texture. Next thing is number 8, Gruyere, Switzerland. Gruyere is named after the town of Gruyere in Switzerland. It was first made in the 12th century. It is made to a fine process where it's curdled, sliced into tiny pieces, and then agitated. This is then cooked at a low temperature to release some more moisture. The cheese is placed into molds and washed with brine, then left to ripen. The bacteria inside the cheese products bubbles of carbon dioxide, which give the cheese a characteristic holes. This unique process gives the cheese a lovely hard texture and a nutty flavor. The next thing is number 7, cheese number 7, mascarpone, Italy. Mascarpone is a cheese originally made around about the turn of the 16th century. It's a triple cream cheese, which means it contains at least 75% buffer fat, and this is something you may not want to replace your other cheese with immediately. Mascarpone is made from a heavy cream which is heated to 85 degrees centigrade, and then tartaric acid is added to it. This mixture thickens, is refrigerated for 12 hours and then strained to remove further. So next thing is number 6, Red Windsor cheese, England. It is red. Red Windsor cheese is made very similarly to cheddar cheese. First, the milk is curdled and allowed to set a little bit, then sliced into small cubes. Next thing is number 5, Nettle cheese, England. Nettle cheese is one of those more obscure cheeses. There are two varieties. One is called erg, and the older kind. This was originally made in Cornwall in England. The cheese was made normally, but before being left to mature it is wrapped tightly in nettle leaves. The nettle leaves were originally used to help preserve the cheese. This is the this is then left to mature for a few months. Sometimes it is even left to mature in caves. The other variety is more recent and most young encountered comes from Holland. Here, nettles leaves are ground and added to the cheese curd before it is preserved. it is pressed. Then the cheese is left to mature. So the next one is number 4, Stilton, England. Stilton first appeared in Stilton in 1730. A man called Cooper Thornhill sold it to travelers from his inn. He was a cheese lover, and one day, after seeing a blue cheese that he particularly loved, he acquired the rights to exclusively market it. He did a great job of marketing it, and today it's now the famous cheese. It is Stilton is a protected cheese, which means it has to be made to strict guidelines, including the location it's made, its shape, and the manufacturing process. Next thing is number 3, Danablu, Denmark. Danablu, Denmark. This is quite possibly one of my most favorite flavors of cheese. Danablu or Danish blue that comes from Denmark is one of the strongest flavored of the blue cheese. This cheese is full of blue veins of mold. The cheese is a soft texture, almost spreadable, and also slightly crumbly. This cheese was invented in the early 20th century by Marius Boyle, who was trying to copy Roquefort cheese, a very similar blue cheese that is made exclusively in France. The next thing is number 2, Emmental, Switzerland. Emmental, a strange name. The reason its name on this list because it's the real Swiss cheese. Often when you buy Swiss cheese, too often you are receiving inferior cheese. Emmental is the real deal. As Erin Brokovich would say, it was first made in about 1293 in a place called Emmental near Berne. So next thing is the last one, Halloumi, Cyprus. Halloumi is quite possibly the last, strangest of all the cheeses on the list, and quite possibly the most amazing. The thing that makes this cheese special is that doesn't melt. The reason for this is that the curd is heated before it's placed into brine. The heating denatures the proteins in the cheese to make it into long fibers which resist melting. It will actually cook instead. Halloumi originated from the Middle Eastern Bedouins and nomads. So these are the top 10 cheeses you should try.